Today in a speech to Hispanic leaders. Back now with my panel. So welcome back, panel. President Trump got flack for throwing paper towels at people while he was visiting Puerto Rico. And now there's this. Watch this.
We are also praying for the people of Puerto Rico. We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico.
So what's with the accent, Ben?
I think he's having fun with an audience that obviously didn't mind it, didn't find it offensive, and some people need to relax on a Friday night and realize that not everything, as much as you want it to be about Donald Trump, is a controversy. I've seen Bill Clinton talk in a different voice when he was in different parts of the country. I've seen Barack Obama talk in a different voice in different parts of the country. No one did a big news cycle on it on a Friday. This is the president having a little bit of fun, relax, and realize he's a human being.
Well,
it's
how many people
died?
How many people died in Puerto Rico over the last 2 weeks?
So you're saying that you can't have you can't
so far.
When you're talking about, hold on, let's be clear here. He wasn't
you
talking
can't have,
about who
you
was
can't have
dying
fun?
at the moment. No, let's be honest. What was the context of what he was talking about at the White House in the moment he was having that conversation?
Well, I think
The
it was
hurricane.
Puerto Rico. It was Puerto
the
Rico
hurricane.
and the hurricane, and 34 people have died. Much of the island doesn't have electricity or
So
infrastructure. People are suffering. They were flooded. They're struggling.
So
they don't even know if they
talking
can
about
make it
people that
back. I just don't know if it's
when
funny.
he's honoring people at the White House that are from all parts of the world, including some that were there from Puerto Rico, and talking about the great people of Puerto Rico, you're saying that he can't say something like that when he's literally talking about the context of the great people of Puerto Rico.
Well, you said context. Isn't that appropriate?
Right, and there's nothing, not everything is going to be somber 24/7. And if you have people at the White House from Puerto Rico and you're honoring them and talking about the great people of Puerto Rico,
so you make fun
and you
of them,
say something like
their
this,
accent.
why is that? You're
Look,
not
think
making fun of them. Don, you're from Louisiana, right? Don, hold on,
Hey, Ben,
time
let's
out.
someone
When
else
you
get in
talk
there, man.
with a Louisiana
Well, no,
accent,
time out. You don't even talking.
when you talk with a Louisiana accent, hold on. But my question is for Don. When you talk with a Louisiana accent, and people do talk with a Louisiana accent, are you making fun of them, or are you talking about your hometown?
Well,
He's
I
from
actually,
there.
yeah. So I'm from there.
From
one
there.
thing, and
Is it
number
in the middle of
two.
Katrina?
Hold on, Mark. I'm gonna let you. You're gonna be next. I'm from there, and number two, when people died in Katrina and I went down and covered it, I didn't go down there saying, "Look,
Right.
y'all down in New Orleans." And the reason I lost that Louisiana accent is because maybe it's not appropriate at times on television and for what I'm doing. Just like when you're the president of the United States, you have to realize what is appropriate, and then you rise to the occasion and to the level. Especially when you have people who are dead from a storm, maybe you should not be joking about a silly accent. Go ahead,
Who
Mark.
are continuing to suffer.
Yeah, when Hillary Clinton goes down to Selma and starts switching, accents and trying to clap on beaten church, code switching. The right-wing media did make fun of it. Rush Limbaugh made fun of it. The right-wing radio made fun of it.
Left-wing media made fun of it. I played it, made fun of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, absolutely. So it's not fair to say this only happens to Donald Trump. It happens to everybody. I don't think this is the biggest deal in the world. I mean, there are many things that Donald Trump did that were just egregious in Puerto Rico, from throwing paper towels to blaming them on the budget to not having the right number of resources there, the most important thing. And my heart is out to the folk of Puerto Rico. But this is another example of him appearing to not care, of him appearing to be insensitive, him appearing to be something other than serious. Again, I don't think this is the biggest deal. I don't think it's a controversy. I think we're just making fun of Donald Trump in that terrible accent. But it is something to consider.
Yeah.
As the person on this panel that grew up in Puerto Rico, let me tell you why this is sort of pouring salt on the wounds. So,
Huepa.
Huepa, exactamente. This is a president who just came back from a trip where he not only insulted the people of Puerto Rico by throwing towels at them like they were street dogs looking for scraps. He made fun of their budget. Hang on, Ben. I did not interrupt you. So have some manners. He came back from the island of 3.5 million American citizens who were suffering. He went through the richest neighborhoods, never visited a children's hospital who was about to run out of fuel. He never visited the supermarkets whose shelves were beginning to be empty. He did none of that. And so when he comes back and he has a supposed celebration of Hispanic heritage, I maybe could give him the benefit of the doubt, Ben, if he hadn't just come back from that debacle of a trip, and if he hadn't started his presidential campaign by telling everybody that Mexican immigrants were rapists and criminals, and if he hadn't
didn't say that all of them were,
campaign,
you know that.
if he
some of them are
hadn't
good people.
throughout his campaign insulted an
I
American
assume
judge
some of them are good people.
because he was of Mexican descent, and because he was of Mexican descent, he couldn't do his job.
Okay.
So this president has a history of insulting Latinos, recently a history of insulting Puerto Ricanos, and so that's why this is not a joke and it ain't funny.
How do you say it again?
Puerto Rico.
All right. Matt, you don't get to say anything.
Can we be doing that right now while people are suffering in
Matt,
Puerto Rico? Isn't that a little bit of a double standard?
We're not the
Just
president of
because
the
I
United
speak
States.
Spanish and that's the way that you
No,
say it.
you're
I'm not
having
making
fun.
fun of it.
My point is this.
I'm not
You
making
just
fun
said
of it.
and
We're not
said
having
say
fun
it
at the
again in a
expense of
fun
people,
way.
and we're not the president of the United States.
You just said
We're
people
not-
are dying, people
we're
are hurting, but
not-
then you
They
asked them
are.
to do it on
not
TV.
the
That is literally
counselor in
hypocrisy.
chief. It's
Come
not-
on,
we're
guys.
not
You
the
just made
commander
my
in chief.
point for me.
Oh, Ben,
Okay, it's Puerto Rico.
You're stretching
Okay.
and reaching. Come on.
You guys are. You just did it and had fun on national TV while people are suffering. You just did the thing you just said the
We
president
didn't throw
should
paper
never
towels
do
at him. Talking about
on
look at the
national
flick of my
TV.
wrist.
They were
Come on,
shooting
man.
them
Here's
at
the
us,
thing.
and you're taking it way
And
too
also,
seriously.
you have to remember, it's also a Puerto Rican who did it. None of us who are not
Thank
Puerto
you.
Rican and who
Thank
do
you.
not speak Spanish
And-
well
Okay,
try
and
to
I'm
butcher
making-
the language
and I'm
like that.
making fun
And all
of
I
the
asked her was,
president
how do you say that again? That's it.
for being
All right,
unpresidential.
good spin.
Yeah, no, it's not spin. It's the truth. Go back and look at the tape. It's
Absolutely.
videotape for everything, Ben.
Así es, Don.
Yeah.
I've watched it clearly.
All right. Get into it.
So let's discuss all of this, and let's begin with the Trump-Tillerson tensions with my panel right now. Mustafa Tamiz is a Democratic strategist and former consultant for the Department of Homeland Security, and Ben Ferguson is a CNN political commentator. Good to see you both, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
All right, Mustafa, you first. Rex Tillerson holding that press conference this week, denying reports that he considered resigning, not necessarily denying that he used the language, moron, but did say he wasn't going to get into that kind of petty stuff at that moment. So what do you make about what the relationship might be right now and how it might, imperil any movement going forward with these two men working together?
Well, look, they were never together from the beginning. Rex Tillerson and Donald Trump didn't know each other prior to him joining the administration. It was what we learned later on, people that were paid consultants to Exxon that had lobbied for him to get this job. And they have a very different temperament. Rex Tillerson comes from an environment where it's very disciplined. They plan ahead. They execute well. And now he's working for a president who just embraces chaos. So starting from the outset, the two of them are not going to get along. And now you get into this spat between the two of them. And Rex Tillerson is on his way out. The question isn't if, the question is when.
So you do feel like he's on his way out, that the frustrations, have been mounting for some time, particularly with Tillerson being unable to really hire like he has wanted to, reportedly, that the president has kind of stood in the way of that. But when people who know Tillerson say that he has wanted this job because it is about public service, do you believe that the tension between he and the president would be enough for him to walk away from this job?
Well, look, he could have come out and said, I didn't use that moron word, but he didn't. He said that I'm not from Washington, and then he did a typical Washington thing. He just deflected all the way. But there's one thing that I think people don't talk a lot about when they talk about Donald Trump and Rex Tillerson. A quarter of Exxon's revenues come from Qatar. And as you all remember, that there's a blockade that led by Gulf countries in Qatar, and Donald Trump supported that blockade with a tweet and has kind of sided with Saudi Arabia on this. So, Rex Tillerson, ideologically, from temperament standpoint, from policy standpoint, everything from the tweet that he sent out undercutting his work in diplomacy with North Korea, they're just not going to get along. And Donald Trump, our president, has the thinnest skin of any world leader, and he will not, tolerate someone out there saying things like we've heard.
All right, Ben?
It's amazing to me how much inside information a Democrat has that has no contacts within this administration. There are so many things that are just not true. First off, Rex Tillerson didn't get this job because of a lobbyist from Exxon. That's just a flat-out lie. There were several people around Donald Trump who said that they liked his leadership. Let me at least finish. I let you say all the stuff that you said, which was just not accurate. Let me rebut it, and then you can say what you disagree with. But when he got this job, because he was looking for someone that had connections around the world and that was respected well and understood management style that the president wanted back in the State Department. That's one of the reasons why he got the job. The second thing is the idea when we open this segment that somehow Rex Tillerson and this beef between him and the president is affecting what's going on with health care reform is absurd. Rex Tillerson has nothing to do with Obamacare. And if you want to know why Obamacare is having issues, look at the Republican leadership who have decided that they don't want to get something done in the Senate on this. We always knew this was going to be a tight vote, 1 or 2 people defecting, and that's the end of the bill. That's always been true since the very beginning. But Rex Tillerson has nothing to do with health care. Now, as for Tillerson and this beef, let's be clear.
I believe what people have been making reference to is the accumulation of tumult. You know, there are a lot of problems, and it makes it difficult for some members of Congress to get behind the president on his agenda when there appear to be problems even within his cabinet of getting along with people. So you don't think those parallels that some are making are
if you're a member of the Senate and you're a Republican and you're not getting behind the repeal and replace of Obamacare because of the State Department and Rex Tillerson and what you think you may be hearing, you're a world-class idiot. I mean, that's just an incompetence at the highest level. And I don't think that there's any Republican that's sitting there going, man, I may not do something on Obamacare, repeal and replace because of Rex Tillerson's relationship and what I'm reading in the newspaper, which half of it's just not true. Let me also say this. Rex Tillerson coming out this week and making the statement that he made, I think made it very clear that, in fact, he's not on his way out the door because he wouldn't have done that otherwise. I think he and the president have patched things up behind the scenes. They're not going to be best friends, but I think he wants to keep him in that job and that role. I think Rex Tillerson likes serving his country, and I think that's the reason why he made those comments.
So, Mustafa, is this apples and oranges, that Ben refers to, or is it an issue of backing the president and trust or lack thereof, and this is interfering with getting things done?
Well, it's chaos as always, and I just want to remind Ben that the Democrat, he might not be able to realize this, is sitting in Houston, Texas, the energy capital of the world. Kind of know a lot about this. And Rex Tillerson, it is published that they did not know each other before, they had not even met each other, and that as we learn later on, that there were senior advisors to Exxon, paid advisors to Exxon, that reached out to Donald Trump. And this is published and it's Googleable, Ben.
That's normal, though.
And they got him his job. They got him his job. You just disputed that a minute ago.
In other words, Mustafa, you're saying these discoveries about one another now, and this tenuous relationship. The roots are not deep in terms of a relationship frayed, but that it is now very public. I guess a demonstration of a lack of loyalty could potentially be everyone that has the demise of this relationship.
Everyone that has had a public fight with Donald Trump ends up leaving the administration eventually, and so this is time. And I think the world is a very difficult place, and our Secretary of State doesn't have a whole lot of power in his department. There's not a lot of people that have been appointed across the board. The State Department has been suffering from that. He has not advocated for any officials.
Frederica, with all due respect,
no one's going to miss him in the White House.
Okay.
Frederica, with all due respect, there's a lot of people in this administration that have disagreed with the president and still have their jobs because the president likes a healthy debate. I've been to the White House. I have seen those healthy debates. You can laugh all you want to, but you haven't been over there and actually worked with the staff of the White House. You haven't been on conference calls.
But I guess the hope is in and outside of Washington is the debate ends to, some progress or real tangible, products or policy, right?
Right.
We're going to leave it right there.
I agree, but Rex wouldn't have made those